Before John Deere became the most recognizable name in farming, it solved a problem that was quietly starving the American frontier. Or, not a drought, not a plague, a soil problem. A simple, brutal, maddening soil problem. And the man who fixed it was not an engineer, not a scientist, not a businessman. He was a blacksmith who couldn't afford to fail. For most of human history, farming was an act of survival, not productivity. You woke before dawn, you worked until dark, and if the harvest failed, your family went hungry. By the early 1800s, American settlers were pushing west, into the prairies of Illinois, Iowa, and beyond. The land was rich, the soil was deep, the potential was enormous. But there was a problem. The soil was too heavy, too thick, and too sticky for the tools they had brought from the east. Wooden plows, the kind that had worked fine in loose, sandy New England soil, clogged constantly in the dense Midwestern clay. Farmers had to stop every few feet, scrape the mud off the blade, and start again. It was exhausting, it was inefficient, and it was holding an entire continent back from its agricultural potential. Someone had to solve it. And the man who did was working in a small smithy in Grand Detour, Illinois, in 1837. Problem was not laziness, it was not lack of effort, it was physics. Midwest prairie soil is extraordinarily dense. It packed onto cast iron and wooden plow blades like wet cement, and once it packed, the plow stopped moving. Farmers in the 1830s were spending as much time cleaning their plows as they were actually plowing. Some estimates suggest a farmer could only work a few acres per day in these conditions, on land that should have been among the most productive on Earth. Food production was being bottlenecked not by weather, not by manpower, but by friction. The solution, in hindsight, seems almost embarrassingly simple. What if the blade was polished? What if it was shaped differently, curved to throw the soil off as it moved through the ground? What if you made it from steel? The idea was obvious. Executing it was not. John Deere arrived in Grand Detour, Illinois, in 1836. He was 32 years old, in debt, and starting over. His blacksmith business in Vermont had failed. His family had stayed behind while he went west to rebuild. And in Grand Detour, a small town on the Rock River, he set up shop. He was good at his trade. Local farmers brought him their broken tools, and it was through those conversations, listening to complaints, hearing the same frustrations repeated again and again, that he identified the problem. The plow. Always the plow. In 1837, Deere got hold of a broken steel saw blade. Some accounts say it came from a local sawmill, and he went to work. He shaped it, he curved it, he polished it until it was smooth enough that soil would slide off instead of clinging on. And then he tested it. It worked. The self-scouring steel plow. Soil didn't stick. The blade stayed clean as it moved. A farmer could work through heavy Midwestern clay without stopping to scrape the blade every few feet. Deere began making and selling plows. At first, just a few per year. Then dozens, then hundreds. Word spread fast on the frontier. Morsel. By the mid-1840s, John Deere had moved his operation to Moline, Illinois, a better location on the Mississippi River, and production was scaling fast. But here's what's interesting. He made a business decision that most manufacturers of his era didn't bother with. He went to his customers, he traveled, he talked to farmers, he watched how they used his plows in the field, and he updated his designs based on what he found. "I will never put my name on a product that does not have in it the best that is in me," he reportedly said. It was a philosophy that would outlast him by more than a century. John Deere died in 1886. By then, the company bearing his name was already far bigger than one man's vision. His son Charles took over and pushed the company forward. Through acquisitions, engineering investment, and a relentless focus on what farmers actually needed, Deere and Company evolved. Plows became planters, planters became cultivators, cultivators became threshers, and by the early 20th century, something new arrived. The tractor, the internal combustion engine changed everything. One machine could now do the work of dozens of horses, and it didn't need to be fed when it wasn't working. John Deere entered the tractor market in 1918 by acquiring the Waterloo Gasoline Engine Company, and from that point forward, the company never looked back. The green and yellow paint scheme became one of the most recognized color combinations in the world. But the brand wasn't built on color. It was built on trust. Or John Deere built dealer networks across rural America. Farmers knew that if a machine broke down during planting season, which could be catastrophic, a John Deere dealer was close enough to get parts and help fast. Reliability, availability, service. In industries where downtime means lost crops and ruined livelihoods, that mattered more than almost anything else. Here is the part of the story that most people never stop to think about. The 20th century saw something unprecedented in human history. Earth's population exploded, from roughly 1.6 billion in 1900 to over 7 billion by 2010. And yet, despite that growth, fewer people starved than at almost any point in recorded history. How? Multiple factors: better seeds, fertilizers, water management, trade networks. But also, machines. A single modern combine harvester can harvest the equivalent of what would have taken hundreds of workers' days to complete by hand. A single planting machine can seed hundreds of acres in a single day. John Deere made machines like these and put them in the hands of farmers across North America, South America, Europe, Australia, and beyond. The numbers are staggering. Modern agriculture, supported by mechanized equipment, produces roughly 10 times more food per acre-hour of human labor than pre-industrial farming did. John Deere didn't feed the world alone. But the category of machines it helped define, modern agricultural equipment, was a critical part of how humanity scaled food production to match a growing population. That's a legacy that goes well beyond any balance sheet. But here's where the story gets complicated. Today, John Deere is one of the most technologically sophisticated companies on Earth. Its modern machines are rolling computers, GPS-guided, software-controlled, data-connected. A farmer sitting in a tractor cab can see real-time soil data, automatically adjust seed depth, and upload performance data to the cloud, all while the machine steers itself. It sounds incredible, and in many ways it is, but it has also created a new kind of tension. Because when a modern John Deere machine breaks down, and machines always break down eventually, farmers increasingly cannot fix it themselves. The software is locked, the diagnostic tools are proprietary. Repairs often require an authorized technician and authorized parts. For a farmer in a remote area, in the middle of harvest season, waiting days for an authorized service visit can mean thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars in lost crop. The Right to Repair movement, a growing coalition of farmers, independent mechanics, and consumer advocates, has pushed back hard against this model. And John Deere, to its credit, has responded. In 2023, it signed an agreement with the American Farm Bureau, committing to expand farmer access to repair tools and software. Whether that's enough, and how it plays out, is still being written. The same machines that gave farmers more power than any generation before them also created a new kind of dependency. That is not a simple story. It never was. John Deere started with a broken saw blade and a problem in the soil. He made a plow that worked when others didn't. He built a business on trust when others built on hype. And the company that carried his name went on to make machines that reshaped how humanity grows its food. That is not an accident of history. It is the result of a man who listened to farmers, solved real problems, and never put his name on anything he wasn't proud of. Today, John Deere operates in over 30 countries, employs tens of thousands of people, and generates revenues measured in the tens of billions of dollars. It is one of the oldest continuously operating companies in American history. And it began with a piece of broken steel and a blacksmith who refused to give up. John Deere did not just build machines for farmers, it helped build the modern food system. Every time you eat, somewhere in that chain, a machine made by a company that started in a one-man blacksmith shop in Illinois helped put it there.